Hello everyone, I am currently reading off a script because I'm too stupid not to read off one. Anyway, you guys didn't click on the video to hear about that. You clicked on the video because you wanted to hear me yell at my screen again. Because for some reason, I'm too good at yelling at my screen. So today, we're going to screen with my computer and we're going to take a look at the 2026 Arizona gubernatorial race. So, without further ado, let's start the video. I'm going to focus on Republican primary. As realistically speaking, there's really only one candidate, Katie Hobbs, for Democrat. She's the incumbent. She'll probably get the nomination. And in my last governor's prediction, I did have her winning. And I'm going to make my case for this video on why I think she won't win. I'm going to change my mind on that. So, we take a look at Republican declared candidates. We see a few familiar names. First, we see Karen Taylor Robeson. We see Charlie Kirk. I did not know he was from Arizona, actually, which is kind of surprising. We see Carrie Lake, I'm pretty sure she said she's not running. And then we see Kimberly Yee, who is the current treasurer. Kimberly Yee, who is the current treasurer of Arizona. So currently, we see these candidates, right? I think there are two candidates who do very well in the general election against Katie Hobbs. I think we're going to see Karen Taylor Robeson and Kimberly Yee put up the most formidable support against Carrie Lake. So we take a look at Kimberly Yee. She is the state treasurer of Arizona, right? And she's also term limited. And she is by far the best candidate. Let me make the case in point why. Hang on, I'm just gonna have, oh shoot, I did not have to expect to pull up a stupid tab. 2022 Arizona statewide races. I'm gonna need this website. No, not state football. If I wanted state football, I would have looked it up and started a football channel, which I'm not doing. Anyway, don't get your hopes up. Okay, so we take a look at state treasurer. We see Kimberly, she won 55.67. She won her race by 11 points. And we take a look at the actual thing. So she won Maricopa County. And we see here she was the only Republican to carry Maricopa County in a statewide Republican to carry Maricopa County. And for comparison, we take a look at all the other statewide races. Every single other statewide Republican except Tom Horn lost. Masters and Fincham for Senate and Secretary of State. So they lost their races by 5%. And then we see Lake and Hamadeh. Hamadeh was for Attorney General. He lost his race by about 200 votes. And we obviously see Carrie Lake, huge profile Lake. And first of all, Carrie Lake's a very high profile person. Second of all, high profile race. This was Arizona 2022. Huge amount of support and money thrown into this. She lost her race by 0.8%. This was supposed to be a very good result for Carrie Lake. Polls had Carrie Lake up 5-6%. That did not happen. And this was to fill incumbent Governor Doug Ducey, meaning Carrie Lake lost the race to Katie Hobbs, and this was a Democratic gain in a Republican wave year. So we take a look at how good Kimberly Yee is. So she won. Hang on, guys. So she won her race, right? And she won 6 out of 8 congressional districts. She won Greg Stanton's district. This is a suburban Phoenix district that has a pretty Democratic lean. Technically, the PVI is D+1, but in reality, it's like Greg Stanton wins by 10, 11 points every single time. So that's that. In 2018, let's take a look at 2018 real quick. So Democrats, they won the Senate race in Arizona by about 2.4, which coincidentally is similar margin as Carrie Lake won. And well, no, she lost to Ruben Gallego in 2024. Let me just have to read out the script. I can't read. In 2018, a year Democrats won the Senate race in Arizona, down ballot Republicans had a mixed bag. We saw Governor Doug Ducey win by 15 points. However, there were a series of competitive races. Mark Brnovich in the Attorney General race, he only won his race by about 3%. Actually less, it was about 2. Won his race by about 2%, while the Secretary of State race, it flipped to Katie Hobbs. Now, this is why. Michelle Reagan, so she was the Secretary of State before Katie Hobbs. She lost her primary race. If you take a look at the primary race at the Arizona State Special, no, Special. She got 33% of the vote, which is still a decent amount of vote, but she was the incumbent against a relatively no-name Republican. He narrowly lost in a D+7 wave year. This shows if Reagan would have won the nomination, she would have won the election. Now, so where does Kimberly Yee fit into this? If we take a look at the treasurer race, she won 50. This was an open race, by the way. She won 60% of the vote, which is a decent amount, against someone who wasn't really polarizing. So assume all those voters voted for Kimberly Yee. And then some. Oh my God. I have to scroll down, that's why. So she won her race by 8% in a Democratic wave year. So this just shows she's a very, very strong incumbent. And she ran for governor in 2022, but then decided to drop out and run for treasurer again. Second best Republican performer in all of Arizona that year. Now, if we go back to Karen Taylor Robeson, her name very, very familiar in Arizona if you paid attention to the governor's race. So we take a look at the governor's. Oh, okay, we're doing this now. Should just open a new tab on itself so I don't have to have 20 tabs open. Oh, okay. So this is stupid. Okay, so we take a look at the Republican primary. We see Carrie Lake nominee. We see Karen Taylor Robeson and then Matt Selman. These were the three main things. Keep those names in mind. So many people going to election night, including me, thought Lake would completely sweep the primary. She would win. She would win big. She won by about 4%. So 4% against a no-name Republican. She got the Trump endorsement. She got the Youngkin endorsement. She got a bunch of endorsements. If I can take a look and pull it up, actually. These are all the polls. See? 9 points. Look at these margins. Summerson did have Karen Taylor Robeson winning, so that was one of the closest polls. We take a look at Carrie Lake. It doesn't say Donald Trump endorsed her, but we all know Donald Trump supported her. For Karen Taylor Robeson, she got the establishment Republican backing. She got Mike Pence. She got Newt Gingrich, which arguably not the best. It's like if Dick Cheney tried to endorse, or Dick or Liz Cheney tried to endorse her, how good it would go. Doug Ducey, the current governor at that point, once again, she only won by that much. Let's say this: if Matt Salmon had dropped out a little bit earlier, those votes probably would have gone to Karen Taylor Robeson. She would have won. She could have won the race. That's what happened. Now, Karen Taylor Robeson has something else that she did not have in 2024, too. She got Donald Trump's endorsement. I'm gonna go on a little side quest real quick. So I live in Arizona, right? In case you didn't know that. So I was following this race in 2022, obviously, and I supported Robeson. This is one of the only times I like show my political opinions on this channel, which is ironic because this is a political channel. I was full on supporting her. I did not want Carrie Lake to have any chance to be our governor. So I saw her lose, obviously. If you had gone back to me 2 years ago and said that Donald Trump would have endorsed Karen Taylor Robeson, I would have probably not believed you, honestly. The It's absolutely insane that he endorses Karen Taylor Robeson because that was Lake's biggest primary challenge. And we've seen before in races such as Pennsylvania. We saw Mohammed Oz and Dave McCormick be in a primary together. Mohammed Oz ran, he lost to John Fetterman. Then Republicans were like, okay, we should nominate Dave McCormick. Nominated him. He won his race against incumbent 18-year incumbent Bob Casey to the Casey lineage. Won. That just goes to show. I think the Republican Party in Arizona is going to learn their lesson, nominate a decent candidate, because God forbid they nominate good candidates. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Charlie Kirk and Jake Kaufman real quick. First of all, Charlie Kirk, he would not be a bad candidate, but if Trump is endorsing Karen Taylor Robeson over him, just goes to show a little bit. Also, I don't think he's actually said he has any plans of running. But Charlie Kirk, he runs Turning Point USA. I'll admit, I do watch Charlie Kirk. He's a very entertaining person. He also gives a lot of important and insightful insight into his videos. He debates college students, or in his words, he debates voters. I'm a voter, you're a voter. Good messaging, good spoken. I do think he comes off a little bit too polarizing for an establishment-based Arizona. That's why I do stay on the ground that Karen Taylor Robson and Kimberly E argued candidates. But if Charlie Kirk runs, he's charismatic. You he'll put up a good fight or win. So let's talk about Katie Hobbs real quick. If we go down to the 2022, we go down to the Democratic primary. So she was Secretary of State. Like I said before, I gave all the details about her winning Secretary of State. So if we go back to 2018, we see that before she was Secretary of State, she was actually I don't know if it actually says it on here. I'm gonna have to go to the thing. She, first of all, she pulled up an upset. No one expected Katie Hobbs to win. We take a look at all the polls. 10-point margin. Likely are. The best poll for Katie Hobbs was her losing by 3. That just goes to show how absolutely insane it was that Katie Hobbs won. Katie Hobbs should not have won. That's the thing. I'm actually she should have won because most voters voted for her. But if you know what I mean, I'm not trying to like. Here's a map. Yourself. Before this, she was the whatchamacallit, Senate Minority Leader of the Arizona State Senate. So she has credibility. She's been in politics. She's all of this. However, she barely wins her races. Her last 2 races were the skin of her teeth in Democratic favorable years. Reminder, this was a D+8 year. Trump only won the state by 3. So if we translate over, she should have won by 5 in an open race. Obviously, trends don't work like that, but she barely won against a horrible, horrible Republican primary. And if we take a look at 2022, when there were Republicans losing by 5, she won by 0.08. No, 0.88 against Carrie Lake, of all people. The polarizing, the non-experienced Carrie Lake in a contentious primary. Now, this is part of the reason why Katie Hobbs is a weak candidate. So, I looked up some articles, actually, because I wasn't really sure myself. I just heard this one guy on YouTube debate me about whether Katie Hobbs would win. I was right. He wasn't. So, she allegedly did not want to debate like it was not the other way around. I'm not sure if the validity of that's true. But she's also a very boring candidate. She's not charismatic, very apathetic, very... The New York Times says she's very dull and apathetic. If the New York Times is saying that, she probably is, not going to lie. But Lake and all these other Republican candidates, they're generic or have charisma, like Charlie Kirk. Charisma. We take a look at... Blah. Charlie Kirk, charisma. Jake Hoffman, I would not nominate him if I'm being honest. If the Republicans nominate them, stuff's going down. Carrie Lake, charismatic. I can admit she is a charismatic Republican. If it wasn't for the fact she had all those scandals to her name, she probably would have won both the Senate election and the governor's election. Karen Taylor Robson, she is iffy, but like I said, generic. Kimberly, iffy, generic, but that's what Arizona needs for a Republican. Let's take a look at other Arizona statewide races in 2022. Okay, so let's take a look at the Senate race. Mark Kelly, he won by 4.8, 5 congressional districts to his name. No, Blake Masters, he beat Mark Brnovich, arguably the only candidate that could have given Mark Kelly at least someone a run for his money. Mark Kelly, he's a very popular incumbent in Arizona. He's pretty left-leaning, but considering Joe Manchin, Kirsten Sinema, Bob Casey, John Tester, Sherrod Brown, they've all been out. You can argue he's one of the only blue dog Democrats left if you extend that term. He won 5 out of the 8 districts. So did Hobbs. So did Fontes. And then Chris Mays beat Abe Hamadeh by about 280 votes, proving that if he, was a little bit less scandal-plagued, he could have won. It's just that simple. He came 280 votes. So that was a Democratic gain for Mark Brnovich. Because, term limits. So let's take a look at past election results in Arizona without pulling up the 25 Wikipedia pages. So obviously, we saw in 2024. I'm also going off script for this, so if I sound a lot more, the state shifted 6 points to the right. We see border county, Hispanic majority border county, 17 points to the right. Pima, 3.5. Yuma, huge Yuma, 14.2. This is on the border, and I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it was Yuma or some other thing, maybe Pinal or something like that. There was a Democrat, no, wait, hang on. It was a Republican mayor of a border place that endorsed Kamala Harris. Obviously didn't go well. From gay with Native American voters, Apache and Yuma. La Paz, Maricopa, 6 points. We saw Trump run up the margins in Arizona. This is a decent, very good Republican performance in Arizona. And we take a look at the raw margin itself. Maricopa County has some of the most shifts to the right, vote-wise. Maricopa County voted 3.5 points. Every other county in the state was over 15 points, first of all, which is kind of insane. Apache, 19, Navajo. Native American voters, Navajo County. That's where you get the natives from. Coquina, home to Flagstaff, Prescott, 19. But then we got Pinal, Gila, Yavapai, Mojave. These are huge Republican vote centers. Yuma was a 20-point margin. Pima was only 15.1. This was 19 in the last election. And obviously Santa Cruz and its huge shift to the right. Cochise County. Let's take a look at 2024 to Senate race. I want to stand on this. Gallego, kind of weak on the border. We take a look at the margins, and let's take a look at CNN's margins. So Ruben Gallego won Maricopa County by 5.2%. How? How does it work when Trump wins by 3.5 and then Gallego wins by about 5.5? That is a 9-point shift in Maricopa County. That should be unheard of. A 9-point shift in the most populous county in the entire state, home to a decent amount of Arizona's population. Insane. Any other Republican would have won this race. Let's be honest here. A wet paper towel, a dead goldfish. I will say this metaphor for a dead goldfish would have won. Ruben Gallego, he's weak on the border, first of all. At least, that's what the late campaign said he was. I'm gonna look up on Wikipedia and see if that's true, because Wikipedia is my favorite reliable source, right, guys? This was significantly closer than people thought it would be. Ruben Gallego. Closer, but a 8-point split ticket. That's, guys, that's crazy. Endorsed Ruben Gallego, her ex-husband? Hello? They divorced? I didn't know that. No one bothered to tell me, guys. All these people thought it would be a flip. It was a flip because Kirsten Sinema was an independent, not that a Republican had it. So we take a look. Let's take a look at the Republican primary. People thought Lake would win in a landslide in the Republican primary. Did she? We take a look. 30-point margin. 30. These 30-point margins. Closer than expected. Lake won by 16. So about half the margin people said it would be. And, well, as we see here, she did not. No. Horrible job. Let's take a look at Let's take a look at the governor's race with Carrie Lake. Oh my god, who's texting? Oh, it was just CapCut. Because I have no friends, and yes, I use CapCut. Don't judge me. We look at this, I want to look at a county map. Actually, I'm going to look it up on CNN. CNN's easier. CNN 2022 governor's race. Let's take a look at some of the counties I mentioned before. In Arizona, this was a flip, right? Maricopa County was about a 2-point margin. So we see she did worse in Maricopa County. Pima. Yuma. Yuma was decent for her. She did decent in Yuma. And we can take a look at the, what's I'm gonna call it? Senate race. We can take a look at the Senate race. That's what it's called. Arizona. The Arizona was about a .9. You take a look at Maricopa County, it was about a 6-point margin. Maricopa County was a 6-point margin. And this isn't even about the governor's race anymore. This is literally just about the fact that Republicans have bottled races in Arizona since 2017. John McCain was the last Republican elected to a Senate seat in Arizona. Honestly. Yuma was a 6-point performance. You cannot win the state of Arizona losing Maricopa and losing Yuma. And also, let's take it a step farther. Secretary of State. Take a look at this. A 7-point margin in Maricopa County. So, what do I think? Republicans narrowly flipped the Arizona governor's race back to them. I think they do nominate Karen Taylor Robson, the right candidate for once. I think Republicans, they win Maricopa County. Decent margin, about 2-ish, 3-ish points. I think Yuma, slightly less margin than what Trump won it by. All these counties here that are safe Republican, I do think will stay safe Republican. This county, these county, the border, I don't think the border is going to be as big of an issue. Maybe because it's Arizona will be a decent issue, but overall, the county there, we take a look at the president map. Navajo and Apache. I think Apache. Well, Navajo is. So that's what I think. Projection is going to be Republicans win the Arizona governor's race. That was my deep dive analysis into the Arizona governor's race. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.